like it much, but you know what? It's fun. People can get to listen to what she has to say and see her at the same time. Now, Nicki, we've spoken about so much about lipedema and lymphedema and women and not understanding their bodies or not understanding what's wrong with them. And they come along to you and you nurture them and you talk them through the process and you give them skills to be able to nurture themselves. And it's also important for them to come back and nurture, be nurtured, not just nurture yourself. You've got to have some nurturing from somewhere else, not just yourself. Because, you know, it's a different type of nurturing. So the skills that you have, the skill set that you have, the equipment that you have that you can use, the team that you work with for referrals and everything like that is a really important part of the process. So you work with them, then you see something and say, I suggest you go and see such and such. And that person will probably refer them on to somebody else if they need to be referred on to. And that's how it needs to be, so that people can take the responsibility to look after their own health and well-being. I think we shun that a lot, and I think with the health system in the situation that it's in now, people don't want to go anywhere near the health system because it's so frazzled and so damaged. So, you know, nurturing yourself is one thing, but being nurtured by those that you need to be nurtured by is really important.
Absolutely. I'm mindful that everyone comes at their health from a different place and a different perspective, and they've got different resources available to them. So I don't like to refer willy-nilly, but I think it's important because I realise that my skills are not everything, and I'm just one little piece of the jigsaw puzzle.
That's right.
There are people a lot more qualified than me to get to the bottom of different issues, but I see myself more as a bit of a vault of information, and the way I plan to work more with women is to consult with them and then say, okay, here's a person for compression, here's someone for this, here's someone for that, and get the right people for the right job. I don't want to be doing nutritional stuff. I can give them a guideline of what I've done, but what I've done might not work for them.
Yeah.
So I would much rather refer them to someone who's a specialist in that area. But I see myself as almost that person, that linchpin, that coach, that health coach that kind of goes, okay, these are the things that you need to consider addressing, and here are the special people in those areas.
Yeah.
My little, area of genius, I suppose, is doing the massage.
Doing the massage and providing
a safe space
for them, and using the equipment that you have that can benefit them. Yeah. And, you have this infrared sauna, which is amazing, which they could either have a massage before or a massage after. And, it's all nurturing, and it makes you feel good because you walk out the door. I remember the very first massage I ever had was a long time ago now.
Yeah.
And I walked outside and I felt like I was floating on air.
Yeah.
Because, when you do those sorts of things for yourself, you give yourself that relief, you give yourself, I don't know, something.
You honour yourself.
Yeah.
You honour yourself.
And it's like, do it.
Yeah. The way I like to work, which is a little bit different to some other practitioners, is to really get a sense and tap into the individual person. So, you've got beautiful spas and they offer gorgeous treatments and things, but I want to build lifelong clients as well, and I want them to feel super comfortable when they're with me, that anything can come up and be done. But it's more, some people say, well, where's your brochure and where's your list of services? I work really intuitively, and we tailor a treatment for you on the day.
So it's individual.
I hate the word, but it's like bespoke, kind of.
There's a lot of bespokes.
Bespokes a lot. There's a lot of bespokes, but it's very individual, and I think I pride myself on that, because I don't want someone coming in and it's a cookie cutter kind of, okay, here's your massage, this is the oil I use. I do use a special lymphatic cream, and I've moved away from beautiful massage oils that I have used, because I now understand the benefits of using these other botanicals in a cream, and you get a beautiful glide, and it nourishes the skin, and there are so many different benefits for it. But it's tailoring it. Some people will come in for a massage and they'll end up having a candling, because that's what is needed on the day. They don't know it at the time, but when we talk about what's actually going on, or I'll combine them. I'll say we'll do a bit of that and a bit of that. Yeah, it's a bit like the way I cook. Take the ingredients and throw them together, and let's come up with the best option for them on the day.
Yeah. And we are all individuals, so it's creating that awareness for them, but your awareness that not everyone's the same, so therefore the treatment for one person that you've had here and another one coming in the afternoon are totally different.
They can be the same, but often they're different.
Yeah.
The routine and the sequence for the lymphatic drainage part or the lymphatic massage part is pretty similar every time, because that's how it works, but it's what I do in between that and how I do it, and whether I flip them over as well or spend more time. Last week the clients I had, all of them, it must be winter thing, all of them had really dry feet, really cracking and dry feet, and I noticed a bit of a trend, and I like to nurture, as I've said, so I put the cream on, and a thicker cream and more cream, and then I wrap them up in Glad Wrap, their feet, before I put them in the compression feet. And they got off there, and it was off the table. I unwrapped them. Their feet were beautiful. Yeah. And they felt really nurtured and nourished and loved up, if you like. Yeah. So I like to do little extra things. I think where I can add more value in that treatment time, it doesn't mean they're getting more time, but they're getting more for their time. Yeah. And that's the nurturing part of you. That's where you take pride in what you do, and supporting someone who needs that support at the time, who may, come once and then go off and do their own research. But then what you've done is you've actually created that awareness of what they need in their life, and to nurture their health and well-being, so that they can feel good about what they do and where they go and how they approach life. And a lot of people walk around with a foggy brain. Yep. And a foggy brain is, eating the wrong foods that give you a foggy brain. Not having enough sleep can give you a foggy brain. But there's so many things, and we don't realise that we've got a foggy brain until sometime when we start doing good things for our bodies. We don't have a foggy brain, and you don't have a foggy brain, and you think, well, how did I work all that time with a foggy brain? Yeah. And it's really important to be aware, create that awareness for people, and have that awareness yourself, and don't be, I was going to say ignorant. Is it ignorant, or not be wanting to be aware of what's going on, avoiding, I suppose. Oh, look, we all get busy and get in denial. We're humans living a human experience, and I guess my advice to people is don't wait till there's a crisis. I was in a crisis, and I put everyone else first, and then kind of picked up the pieces of my own health. So you were ignoring that because... Well, it was always there. It was always in the background. Yeah. But it was very easy to be busy doing family. So I didn't... Look, I was always thinking about it, but it was never... not that it was never. I was seeking advice from people, but I wasn't getting the answers I needed.
So after you did, then things started to change and make a difference to your life.
Well, it made a difference to my life, and it made a difference to the family's life.
Because they could then understand where you're coming from and what
and
is
support me
actually
in
going
that
on.
in that journey I had to go on, or I'm still on, for sure.
Yeah. What advice would you give those women out there that really ignore the fact that they're big and they just continue to abuse their bodies?
You know, I wouldn't. I don't like the word abuse there, because for people with lipedema, most often they're the most compliant. They're the most, you know, they do everything that, well, not everything. They do all that they can do, yet they still get flogged. I go back to before I was diagnosed. I used to, for years before my size got really big, I go to a personal trainer 5 times a week and do group training. And I would be doing the do and working out and flogging myself, and nothing changed. There was no weight change. There was a little bit of size change in the upper body, but not much. And a lot of women who have particularly lipedema, they've done everything right. They're not abusing their bodies. Quite often they're malnourished. They don't eat much. Their metabolism's screwed up because they're told to lose weight. So what do? You eat less.
Yeah.
So I don't think abuse is the right word. I think, you know, it's...
What would it be?
I don't know what the word would be. I think be aware and ask questions, and if it doesn't feel right, and if to you it doesn't make sense that your body is doing this, reach out to the next person and ask.
And keep asking until
just
you
keep
get an
asking.
answer. And that's really important, to ask the questions. Because if you don't ask the questions, you don't get the answers. No. And if you don't get the answers, you can't do anything about it. So to make the changes, you need to ask the questions.
Yeah. And I think, for me, I was lucky eventually. I asked enough questions that somebody was presented to me, literally.
Yes.
But the awareness around these disorders, diseases, conditions, whatever, is raising slowly. But it's more, I almost feel compelled to educate doctors and educate personal trainers, and the awareness. I went to see somebody about my knees and was shunned for being overweight. Go and lose weight. You'll get new knees when you're 60, but lose weight. So, it's...
That's a pretty poor attitude.
It wasn't a great attitude, but we'll leave it there. But it's, just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know I think with the personal trainers, though, doctors, physios who don't know about it, there are so many allied health people and non-allied that need awareness.
Yes.
So that when they've got that client or that patient, that patient sitting in front of them saying, "What's wrong with me?" And they don't know because they're not taught.
Yes.
And you can't blame them. The a GP is a GP.
Yes. And
unless they've been exposed to it, they wouldn't think to.
They
don't even know. When I've mentioned I've got lipedema, but no, you've got lymphedema, and I said, "Well, I've actually got that a little bit as well, but that's not the primary thing."
Yeah.
And they go, "But no, there's no such thing as lipedema."
Yeah.
So they don't know what they don't know.
That's right.
So I think it comes down to education and awareness.
Beautiful. And, you know, the education of doctors and allied health professionals and things like that is a really important part of that, so that they can, if they don't work with it, they can maybe diagnose it and send them off to the appropriate people to have it dealt with.
Yeah.
And so that those people don't have to live in angst for such a long time.
Well, living in angst, and they need support.
Yes.
They need support on lots of levels.
Absolutely, they do. Well, the news is coming up soon. One more tip that you would give to yourself before you were diagnosed?
What, going back in reflection?
Yep, going back in reflection.
Put myself number one.
Is that a hard thing for you to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Are you going to try and do it?
I'm evolving towards it a bit more, but it's not my natural state.
Yeah.
You know, my thing is always to give. So
it's time to receive.
It's time to receive, and I think it's time to put myself, my needs ahead.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the challenge, and that would be the tip to other people out there. You know,
to nurture themselves and set some boundaries around who you are and what you do for yourself and for others. Yeah. And that's a really important part of the process of life for everyone, really, isn't it? Because we have to set boundaries for ourselves so that then we can then work through the processes with others that know those boundaries are there and have a respect and a trust for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
For you as well. And what you're doing is working and developing a rapport, a relationship and a trust with your clients so that they can move on in life to deal with what they need to work through.
Yep.
That process. Well, it's almost time for the news, and